Welcome, and thank you for joining us with Mahogany Under with Cece and Dr. Nancy. Today we have Toya and Mimi here, and they're going to talk about their experience going through and beating cancer. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I wanted y'all on because cancer, especially breast cancer, affects our community the most. And so to learn from your journey, someone who was recently diagnosed or somebody that might be diagnosed in the future, so that they can get some pointers and know what to expect. Toya, will you tell us what made you go to the doctor to get checked? Or did you do a self-examination and notice something?
I was 6 months pregnant and I had a lump under my arm. And it was just there. It wasn't hurting or anything. It was just there. But I'd also had what I thought was an ear infection. And it didn't go away once I was given antibiotics. So I went back and I said, this ear infection is not going away. And she asked me, was there anything else going on? Because there was no water or anything in my ears. And I showed her the lump under my arm. And she looked, the look on her face seemed like she was alarmed by it. So she excused herself, she left, and she got one of the senior doctors. And they came back and they looked. And there was all this, chitter chatter, talking, whatever. And they said they were sending me over to Winsburg surgery to have it biopsied immediately. So, once I got there, they did the biopsy and I had to wait for several days. But it came back as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a little different from breast cancer, which is what they thought it was because of the region of the lump. But it turned out to be non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is the cancer of your lymph nodes, which is where we carry all of our white blood cells that help us fight infection. So from there, it was like, what do you mean? I'm 6 months pregnant. I have cancer. What's going on? There's all these unknowns. But one thing is that they chose a great team of doctors for me, because when I went in there, I already knew that I was having a girl. I was 6 months pregnant. My first child. They knew that I wanted this baby, and he told me that usually the first option they give you is to terminate. He told me he was never going to give me that option. He said, what he told me was, listen, we're going to do what we can do, and God is going to do the rest. And when he said that, I knew he was the right doctor, because if you think about it, not many doctors talk about God in the conversation, because a lot of doctors have what you call a quote unquote God complex. So when he said that, I knew he was the right doctor for me, and that he was most interested in my health, not only my health and well-being, but the health and well-being of my unborn daughter. So that's how I found out. And of course, having this baby in my stomach, it just, I didn't fold. I don't think I even mourned it initially, because everything I did was, I just wanted to get this baby here safely. That was my goal. That was what I wanted to do going forward. So that was my goal. Whether I was here after that, of course I wanted that, but my number one goal at that point was to bring her here safe and sound.
Were you able to save the cells from your daughter's placenta for your stem cell?
Yes, initially I did. Initially I was able to save it for a little while, but of course the cost. So I had to let that go. But thankfully, I don't need her cells to do my stem cell transplant. They can use mine. So that's the grace of it, because it does cost a lot to maintain the cord blood for a while. Costs a couple $1,000s, a year to do it. And of course, being a single parent, you don't always have that extra. So I was able to hold on to it for a while, but after a while I wasn't. But like I said, thankfully I won't need hers.
Mimi, I asked, would you mind telling us about how your journey began?
Okay, well, that was kind of crazy because I didn't have any symptoms. Well, I don't have breast cancer. I found out that I had 9 lumps in my breast, though, 6 in my right and 3 in my left, due to knots under my arm, which I had been dealing with for a few years. And so I initially just thought I had that. I went in for my mammogram. My tissue was too thick to read. I did a ultrasound, and it was still too thick for them to tell. So I just kept going on about my business. My insurance was too expensive, and the test that I needed to take was too expensive from my own pockets to get. So I just kept on going on about my business. And then a few years later, 2016, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2018. But in 2016, I started bleeding for no reason. But I've always had, my cycle has always been everywhere, all over the place since I first started. Eventually went on to the doctor because the hospital, actually, because doing pap smears, they never ever told me anything. Everything was okay. And when I went to the hospital, they checked me and they said, well, we're going to do an internal ultrasound on you. So they did that. They only told me I had fibroid tumors, and that was it. So my went to my primary caregiver, physician, excuse me, and he put me out of work indefinitely and set me up with a gynecologist at Riverside. So I went to see her. She told me, I already know what this is, but I'm going to send it off just in case. I said, okay. So she sent it off, and it came back that it was cancerous. And they thought it was like stage 1 or 2. It wasn't really bad. And they sped up the process. So I ended up down in Newport News, going through the process really fast. I had my surgery, my second surgery, within a month after finding out. And it was worse than what it was. But I always put it off getting checked out because I always kind of figured I had cancer. And with the 9 lumps in my breast, I kind of figured it was breast cancer. And I told my sister, I'm not going through any treatments. I just want to live my life, see what cancer does, and the treatments. I just want to live my life and enjoy the rest of my days here on earth. It's meant for me. It's meant for me. But my youngest daughter was pregnant for the first time, and she was having a hard pregnancy. So I said, well, I want to be here to see my grandchildren. So I decided to go ahead through with the surgery. I had a radical hysterectomy. My doctor informed me that if it had spread to my lymph nodes, that he couldn't do the entire surgery. He would have to split it up in 2. And like her doctor, my doctor was a praying doctor. We prayed together. He talked about God all of the time, every meeting, every doctor's appointment. And I didn't know, but he went on through with both of them. It had spread to my lymph nodes, and it had gotten to my para-aorta lymph nodes, which is right under the stomach. So they were kind of thinking, okay, it will spread to my stomach. I would have lung cancer, and with the 9 lumps, it would kind of, have breast cancer as well. And by the grace of God, it didn't. He told me, I did your surgery. I did it completely. I was under for over 12 hours with my surgery. And I started radiation, external radiation, over 50% of my body within a month. And I was doing I did that 5 days a week, and I did chemo 1 day out of the week. And so he told me I would have been dead if I hadn't gone through the treatment within 2 months of me finding out.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just kind of now, I keep going to the doctor. I refuse to put off my health.
Yes.
A lot of us put off our health. Either we can't afford it. And you said, and my mom said the same thing. She knew she had cancer. She knew she had breast cancer. She knew she had cancer in 2000. She didn't actually go to the doctor until 2006. And then 8 months later. But it wasn't the disease, it was the treatment. The chemo leaves your body. It's not, you don't even recognize the antibodies. And then she got pneumonia, and her body couldn't fight pneumonia. Mimi,
Yes.
what was your, well, you told me what your initial thoughts were and how it changed.
My initial thoughts were, okay, don't do treatment. And then it was, okay, do treatment. You have this. God isn't going to put any more on you than you can bear. You have two daughters, and you have an unborn grandchild and a granddaughter. And I have to let them know, educate them now on what to do and what not to do and how to take care of themselves. And don't put off going to the doctor if you know something is wrong or if you feel something is wrong. Go. So I decided to go ahead through it. And my dad had cancer, bone marrow cancer. So seeing him fight, and he was a guinea pig. And at the time that he passed, he was the longest survivor of the type of cancer that he had. So I said, I saw so many different family members and I watched my dad go through it. I can do this. I was given a lot of good examples. And then seeing Toya deal with hers the way that she dealt with hers, and whenever she has a picture or whatever, there was always a smile on her face. They did it gracefully. So, okay, I have a lot of inspiration. And I had an aunt that was not too long ago diagnosed with breast cancer when I got my diagnosis, and she coached me through it. And in order to get through my treatment, I had to change some things. My mindset, for one. I can't be there for everyone. I had to be there for me. I had to shut down mentally and emotionally and block all the negative energy so that I could be here today to do this interview. Because if not, who knows? Because the toll that the treatment takes on your body, you never know. So I had to block out a lot of negative energy, take one day at a time, and just not feed into a lot of things that didn't need my attention. Everyone's grown. They can handle their own. If not, that's their problem. It's not mine. I have bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah. You said a mouthful. You said that. Toya, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I want to say, I think as women, especially as Black women, I think we've watched so many of our mothers, our aunties, our grandmothers, so many women in our family take care of everybody else. You know, I think that's what we learn. We learn how to take care of everybody else, but nobody really tells us that we need to take care of ourselves first. Because in the end, if we take care of ourselves first, we're not going to be here to take care of everybody else. You know, so it's very important that while you're trying to take care of everybody else, trying to make sure everybody's straight, that you take care of yourself. And, you know, Mimi and I both, I mean, we did this for our children. You know, hands down, our children. We want to be here for our children. We want to make sure that we can guide them and lead them and to educate them, like she said, on what to do and what not to do. And I think that, you know, what we both gone through changed our perspective in that way. To what we had to sit back and think, you know, listen, you know, we got to stop all this nonsense, stop thinking about everybody else. And we got to be a little selfish, you know.
It's not selfish. It's self. And you do what you got to do for yourself.
I agree with Toya about the selfish thing. It took a lot for me to get over that part. And I also had a hard time with other people taking care of me in my time of need. It was really hard for me. I can't say it was a pride thing, but I felt like I wasn't dead. Let me do this. Right. I'm still here. Let me do this. I can do it.
Yeah, we take care of everyone in our family, and like you said, we neglect ourselves, and we don't want people. I mean, not that we don't want it. We're not. We are the healers. We are the caregivers. We are the backbone, and so we get neglected not only by ourselves but other people. So Mimi, let them help. Let them help you. You deserve it and more. So let them help.
I'm learning slowly but surely. I'm learning.
Dr. Yancey, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, ladies, I wanted to ask in regards to mental health. Did you see a decline in how you felt about yourself after or during your initial diagnosis?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say initially it wasn't, I didn't even think about it. But I think after I had my baby and I started to have the chemo and all my hair fell out and I started feeling really bad and, you know, the weight just kept dropping off, you know, it just, I found myself in a place, and I don't know if it was tied to the fact that I just had a baby or not too, but I felt myself in a place thinking that, oh my gosh, you know, I know I'm gonna beat this, but at certain times you feel like, how am I gonna beat this? Am I gonna be able to get through? Not only that, but there was also, when this is over, am I gonna be able to, get back to my career? Am I gonna be able to, continue to take care of myself and my daughter, like I did before, and things like that, because there's so many unknowns. So I think that for me, initially it wasn't an issue, but as I went along in the process, my mental health did start taking a hit. The long short of it, I guess.
Did you go to seek mental health or counseling?
I did not. I did a lot of writing, like journaling. I would talk to, I had a group, a chemo group, and there were a couple women in the chemo group that I used to speak with, from time to time, because we were all going through kind of the same thing. It was hard for me to talk to family members and things, because even though, I don't know, I felt like they just couldn't really understand. And I felt like the more I told them, the more it worried them. So, I kind of internalized things anyway. So I just sort of tried to work it out on my own. And I found out quickly that that wasn't going to work. So eventually I did have to go and see a mental health professional, especially as things started piling up, like I wasn't able to work, any longer. And, my dad was sick, and, just as those things started piling up, on me or whatever, I realized that I needed to go speak with someone, because my mental health was starting to decline a little more than I'd like for it to.
That shows strength. Mimi?
And as for me, like she said, I have my moments. And I used to tell when I had my moments, why are you going through this? You're putting yourself through so much. I was worried about how my family felt versus how I felt. Yeah. They're worrying about me. They don't want me to do this. They're really stressed out, and they have their own things going on. But I just need to stop treatment. I snapped myself out of it. As far as the cervical part, I couldn't have any intercourse with my partner. So I gave him the option to walk away when I found out. He chose not to. Yeah, like any relationship, we had our ups and downs, but it still worried me. I told him to go ahead out there. Do you? I understand. But he chose not to. He stuck by my side, but I did feel less than a woman.
Right.
I didn't think that I would, but I felt less than a woman because I wasn't myself anymore. I felt like something was taken away from me where I couldn't perform in that area. But I would snap out of that as well. You're more than a woman. You were born a woman. You were born a female. That's what God made you. And as far as family, like she said, they really didn't understand. They tried to, but it was hard to talk to them because they would make me brush it off when I would tell them some intimate things about my feelings, my deep feelings. They would brush it off, get over it or whatever. And I'm like, I can't really talk to you guys about it. I would talk to my aunt. She kind of understood. She was more so a sounding board for me, but she also gave me encouragement. So I just internalized it. I'm a thinker. I would lay in the bed at night beside my partner and cry. I babysat my grandson once he was born while his mom went to work. And I would just sit there and look at him and cry. But what gave me strength and the reason to get up was my grandson and my granddaughter. Although she's in California, she called me every morning before she went to school to check on me. And when I told both of my daughters, my oldest daughter had to internalize it first and come to terms with it before she shared it with her. But what I didn't know is that my granddaughter was already watching a series. I think it's on Netflix. Kate and I'm having a brain fart right now. It's a series about a little girl that has cancer, best friend. And she was already watching, so she understood. And when my daughter finally told her, she handled it well. She came to me with questions about my treatment and what did the doctor say, how was I eating, my diet, what foods to eat. And it eased my pain a whole lot. She wanted to dye her hair teal to support me and everything. So it made it a whole lot easier. But with my grandkids, they gave me a reason to get up, something to look forward to. And I just kept pressing on. I just internalized it. I put my strength in God, faith in God. I'm going to get through this. And I would kind of snap out. I probably should have gone to seek some counseling, but I chose not to. And I kind of put it out of my back of my mind that I had cancer. I don't know why. I guess everything else with daily life going on, I would forget. And then certain times, a reminder, like I had a doctor's appointment or something, it would hit me like a ton of bricks, and I would break down and cry, and couldn't stop crying and couldn't stop crying. So I would just turn on gospel music and listen to that to get me through.
Look at me now, cry baby.
I know I was worried about getting emotional.
You guys are all so strong.
Yes, you are. Let me see. Toya, where did you find your most support?
Outside of my family, I would say outside of my family and my doctor's office, I will say that because my doctor's office, they had a lot of resources that they provided us with. But probably the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, they did a lot of things. They just sent me a lot of things to make sure, that I was doing this, whether it was about eating, whether it was about, mental health classes or support groups. They sent me something about, they had, one time they sent me a letter about getting reimbursed for your gas for going back and forth. I had to go back and forth to MCV, things like that. They just made sure that I knew everything that was available to me as a lymphoma patient that I could access if I needed it. So they were a really big source outside, like I said, my family and my doctor's office. My doctor's office was really awesome.
And where did you find your most support for your son?
Outside, like you said, outside of family and the doctor, my insurance, actually. I had private insurance when I first started, but then I ended up having to fight to get Medicaid and Aetna insurance. But Aetna always kept me abreast in the know of different programs and things that I had access to. And they just kept me in the know of everything. A worker would call and check on me from time to time to see if there was anything that I needed, any help, if I needed help with money or rental issues and things of that nature. So it was the Aetna insurance and the social worker at the doctor's office.
I'm glad. I've never heard anybody say insurance company. So that's good to hear that they seem to take at least that real serious and give you support, and that's all they can. Toya, what advice would you give someone that's newly diagnosed?
That's newly diagnosed?
Yes.
I would say that initially, whatever you're feeling, feel it. If you're feeling shocked, if you want to scream, if you want to cry, if you want to holler, if you want to stomp, I would say if that's your initial feeling, do it. I would say get all of that out of the way and get focused. Get all of that out of the way and get focused on what's at hand, because once you do that, you're going to be most successful. And positivity is the key. Positivity is the key. You have to tell yourself every day that this is not going to beat you. This is not going to beat you, and you're not going to let it. And you got to do what you can. We don't know what's going to happen, tomorrow. None of us do. But we have to stay positive and know that, hey, every day is a plus. So we have to stay positive that we are going to have another day. And even when it looks like the odds are insurmountable, just like Mimi said, she had to look around. She saw all these people who had gone through all of these things. She saw her dad, be a guinea pig, so somebody else could be successful in this journey. Just take a look around and get strength from so many other people that are around you that have gone through this process, that may have beat this process, even those who may not have beat this process, but they left something here to help you move forward with the process. So that's the advice I would give to someone. If you got to get all the mess out of the way, get all the mess out of the way first and then focus. But if the mess comes back, let it come back. If it comes back every now and then and you need to scream and holler, cry, whatever you need to do, go ahead and do it. But I would say don't hold it in. Don't fake it. Don't fake the funk. Whatever you're feeling, let it go. Because if you hold on to it, it's only going to make it worse.
Mimi?
She about said it all. Don't be afraid. I know it's scary, but don't be afraid. She pretty much said it all. Find something that you enjoy that's just for you. Like I've always loved gardening. So I went to my plant, giving life to something else, watching that grow. So I enjoyed doing that. And it gave me peace. As well as another thing, don't bite your tongue, like she said. Let it out. My doctor told me, don't bite your tongue. Whatever you have to say it. Let it out and let people feel however they feel about it. It's off of your chest. But go through the process.
Yeah.
Do your own research, and if you have to cry, cry. Yeah. If you have to go outside and break a glass just to get that off of you, do so. It's okay. Yeah. But just know that there's people out here, whether you know them or not, complete strangers that are willing to listen, give you a hug, encouragement, and just stay strong. Positivity is the most important thing. Surround yourself with positive people.
Yes.
That goes a long way. I don't know. I pick up other people's vibes and energy. And I get, if they're sad, I get in this funk or whatever. I want to solve their problems. Let go and let God.
Yeah.
Give it to Him. Pray on it and keep on going. But she's pretty much said everything. I agree with her.
Dr. Yancey, do you have anything to add?
So both of you ladies are cancer-free today?
Yes, ma'am. I did my CAT scan 2 weeks ago. No cancer, no lumps in my breast, no cancer anywhere in my body. And the doctor said it's amazing that I don't have breast or lung cancer.
That's beautiful.
And I'm still here to tell my story. And one of our good friends, Toya and Calvinette, gave me a mantra also to keep me going. I used to tell myself every day. Brad Jefferson told me, rumble, sister, rumble.
That's
so
right.
If whenever I see someone on social media or whatever talking about cancer, that's what I put. Hashtag rumble, sister, rumble.
Right.
Fight. Don't give up.
Toya?
As of my last PET scan, I'm cancer free. I have another PET scan on Tuesday, because it's been a couple months. I have to do testing for the stem cell, so they just want to make sure that I'm still cancer free before we continue to move forward. So I claim that I will be cancer free after this one on Tuesday, and we can continue to move forward with the stem cell process.
Beautiful. In regards to preparation, because we know cancer, we can be in remission and cancer can come back. What are you ladies doing in preparation? So in regards to your mental health and physical well-being, what are you doing just to prepare yourself mentally? If this demon comes back on me, I'm going to fight it again. I'm going to survive again. And mentally, I'm going to be strong again. What are you doing in preparation for that?
Well, as for me, I think about that. I worry about that a lot. But I feel like I'm stronger now, and I know more, and I've taken the time out to educate myself a little bit more on different treatments as well. I feel like if it comes back, it's just That's God's will. And I exercise. I go out in the yard and work out. I'm on about an acre of land. I push the lawnmower to cut it. I do the garden old-fashioned shovel and everything. So, and I eat a whole lot better. So I'm doing things and steps to be healthier, my body wise. But the mental state, I'm ready for it. I will rock that bald head again and continue to fight.
Amen.
I agree. I agree with Mimi. It's come back on me a couple times, which is why we want to go ahead with the stem cell transplant now that it's gone again before it rears its ugly head. But thank God it's been coming back to the same place and not going anywhere else. That's another thing that we're trying to prevent with the stem cell transplant. So I just agree with Mimi. I try to get more exercise. My daughter's 7, so I get plenty of that. Get plenty of that. I try to eat better. I've got some damage from the different couple of chemos that I've had. So I've got a little liver damage and a little heart damage, and my appetite is up and down. So, I've lost quite a bit of weight, even though I try to, eat as well as possible. They always tell me, to try to hold on to what little bit I got left, for the transplant. I guess a little cushion is better, when I embark on the situation. But, I just try to eat more fruits and vegetables, more lean meats, things of that nature. Just try to do the best I can.
Unlike Toya, I gained weight. So I'm trying to get it off, but my doctor told me it's my problem that I gained weight. When I start losing, it's his problem.
Right.
So the weight fluctuating up and down, but I don't like the weight.
Yeah.
And it seems like exercise doesn't do anything. And I have a 1-year-old grandson I'm running around behind all day. And it's not going anywhere. So I really don't understand it. But if it comes back, at least I have enough cushion.
Right. I'm down 10. I was like, I haven't been that small since high school. And I don't want to be walking around like a bobblehead.
Yeah. I understand that.
What advice would you give family members and friends who are supporting someone with cancer?
I would say that everyone's journey is different. I want to say just because, somebody who, had chemo 2 days ago and they can run a marathon, that doesn't mean that that's everybody's, that is everybody's situation. And the truth of the matter is some days you feel great, but other days you don't. I think that there needs to be an understanding of that. I think that there needs to be an understanding of you're not going to understand everything that they're feeling or that they're going through. I heard Mimi mention when she mentioned something, really deep, that she was feeling, and she felt like it just didn't get through. And I've had that conversation many, many times, where I just felt like, they kind of understood, they maybe wanted to understand, but it just wasn't getting through. So I would say just to have an open mind, to really listen and understand, to try to put yourself in their shoes. Like I said, it's an up and down situation. Some days they'll be great, some days they won't be so great. But you have to understand that it's because it's because of the illness. It's because their body's going through changes. Mentally, they're going through changes. Physically, they're going through changes. Emotionally, they're going through changes. It's just a lot of ups and downs. And the best thing you can do is just be in total support. Whatever they need, if they need a listening ear, if they need, someone to help them, even if they don't want someone to help them, because that's a big thing too. When you're an independent person and now you have to depend on other people to help you, it is hard to kind of let go and let other people help you. But just be there anyway. Be there anyway. Even if they say they don't want the help, be there anyway.
Mimi, what advice would you give family members and friends who supporting someone going through or with cancer?
She summed everything up. Have you good days. If they can do something or want to attempt to do something, even though the family member or caregiver see that they're having a hard time or they shouldn't really do it because they don't want them to do it because they're afraid they're going to hurt themselves, let them do it. Just be there to make sure that they don't hurt themselves. I had a lot of that going on, and it used to frustrate me. So I started acting like a little kid, give him a bird and keep on going. So I might not have. I was outside cutting. I would go outside and cut grass, and she would knock on the window. What are you doing? What are you doing? So I started acting like a little kid. I'm gonna ignore you. I give her the bird until she comes outside. What are you doing? Cutting grass. But let them do what they need to do and just be there to kind of guide and help them. But she pretty much summed it all up for them. Like you said, you have your good days, you have your bad days, and you have days where you just want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the days where I would say, from my experience, don't leave that person alone.
Yep.
It's just sitting there being quiet.
Yep.
Dr. Yancey, do you want to add anything?
No.
I thank you ladies so much for coming on and sharing your journey with us. Is there any last words that you want to say, Toya?
I want to encourage people to look into their family medical history. Mimi mentioned that her dad battled cancer, and I learned that on my dad's side of the family, pretty much all of his aunts and uncles had cancer at one point in time, including his mom, including my grandmother. So I would encourage people to know your family's medical history, and to know, I know now they have tests. I know there's a lot of tests on the breast cancer side where you can be tested to see if you carry a certain gene, things of that nature. If those things are available to you, if you're able to afford them, or if sometimes they're free at certain places, in certain cities across the country. If you have availability to those things, go and do those things. I mean, it can't hurt. It can only help to let you know what you may have to prepare for. But I will say, if you do find that there's instances of cancer and other things as well, could be diabetes, could be heart disease in your family, take heed to that and start making decisions early on in your life to try to change those patterns in your family health history.
Mimi, do you have any last words?
Well, she summed it up. Know your family history. And as for women in the 757-804 area, it's a program called Every Woman. So if you want to get tested, even though you have insurance for your job or whatever, call them, find them, Google them, and find their information. They will give mammograms and pap smears, as well as cancer screenings that are free.
All right.
I was informed about that, and that's how I got my mammogram. But I already started my chemo and my radiation. So by the time I had my 3D mammogram, I had no more tumors in my breast.
I'll make sure I'll put
Thank you. That's good info.
Y'all make sure I put that in the description on YouTube, and I'll research some other resources that could help, like some grassroots resources or something. Also, I talked to one of my friends, and her husband has lung cancer, and I didn't know this until she told me, but she said that they can test cancer and tell you what kind of cancer you have, and then give you a specific treatment and medication for that cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she couldn't afford the test. So you know what she did? She got a grant from the state that paid for that test.
Oh, wow.
And so
Awesome.
I tell people,
Yes.
if you need money, resources like money, look into state or federal grants, because they do have grants to help with testing and probably with treatment too. Dr. Yancey, do you have any last words?
No, I want to thank you ladies for coming on to, telling your story, allowing other people to know that they're not alone and the same plight that you went through, they also share in that journey. So definitely appreciate you for coming on. I know it's not easy. Sometimes it's painful memories, but I think your family thanks you as well.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So much for coming on. Next week, we're going to have two young men in their 20s and talk to us about why they're not voting or not considering voting.
Oh gosh, okay, I'm ready for that.
Yes, I want to hear those excuses because there should be none.
There's
Yes,
not.
none at all.
Our answer
There should be
is
none.
not to give them the privilege to vote. So one of them going to be my son, and I can't wait.
Okay. All right now.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, hopefully we can convince them so we can have 2 additional votes.
Right.
Yes, every vote counts.
We need them badly.
Yeah, badly. I've already voted.
Me too. Me too.
Well, I guess I'm blessed. I did request my absentee. My mail-in vote today. So thank you, ladies, for joining us, and I appreciate you coming on and telling the audience about your journey. I hope that others get to learn from your journey if they happen to come upon it or if they're in the middle of their own. I thank you for coming on. In the meantime, be the change that you desire. Thank you.
Say, Nani.